Hey everybody, G-Force 41 here with another PGA Tour 2K25 golf course review video. This is it casuals worthy? We are going to Bobhare Valley today by MalPad. This course has been referred to me by our own Ivy Mike. Thank you, Mike. Him and Kev were playing this and liked it and suggested it for the casuals. So is it casuals worthy is where I review the course. See if I'm going to put it in the casual schedule. Simple as that, right? Hey, if Mike likes it, I'm going to like it, but I got to play it anyway, and I might as well record these. So we play all these courses. We have three courses a week, 3 events a week, and we do go through them and check the pins and everything. So I could be recording a lot more of them, but I blow through them really quick sometimes. Sometimes it's a good one, and it only takes a few holes to say no, and sometimes, it's a winner, and you got to play the whole thing and check the different hole locations. So I don't know much about it other than the recommendation. So it looks like it's kind of a boreal course. I see lots of evergreens and that kind of muted coloring. I use some of those bushes on the thing, the course I'm working on now. So we got a forced carry down the hill. Let's go. I got the winds east, back tees. This is the one hole location. I know the name MalPad. I don't know if I've played any of his courses before, if he has other courses. For some reason that sounds familiar, but I can't bring anything to mind. So first things first, I like what he's done with the planting. And he's kind of used the new features, the terrain painting, and he's probably got some surface weathering in there back here. There'll be some surface weathering right there. But I do this a lot because there's a lot of this stuff around the courses here in New England, right? Very organic growth just coming up, and you hit your ball into it and you're lucky you can find it. It's almost like going into a hazard. With some of the courses around here, it is a hazard. It's kind of a depression and a wet area, kind of like a marsh, and it's just got lots of bushes and grasses and things like that. It's as good as a water hazard, if you ask me, as far as ruining your score. So it does make golf around here a little tougher than it seems. But I do use a lot of that on my courses. The one I'm working on now, I've got a lot of areas like that. Now, what I'm working on now is kind of inspired by Sleepy Hollow and the C.B. McDonald Rainer type stuff. It's an inspired by, so it's not going to be exactly like Sleepy Hollow. It's got a short, a thumbprint. 121 we're running on the greens. Greens look good. And I do some, inspiration from NGLA and, oh, look, hey, the cameras are going nice and smooth and slow. Great job, buddy. Jeez. And also the Lido as well. So we have some moderate grid lines here. So it's I like the textures he's chosen. Like I've said before, I'm not a huge fan of the grid lines. I think this would be a great course to nix the grid lines entirely. It's got that organic nature kind of feel. I don't know why you need them, right? But make them very faint. I think actually on the one I'm working on, it's very faint and wide. So it's kind of interesting. I might keep it. So strategically, I like that. If you go up here, you're going to run into some just kind of wasteland area. So that's a strategic use of the land and the plantings. Just kind of have these waste areas rather than plain old bunkers, right? Because you do see those a lot, at least by me. So you got a kind of how shall we say it, an obstacle up there to drive. You're better off laying back with the 3-wood. Fine. I don't mind holes like that. A nice elevated green here with the kind of, I call it a blitz of bunkers. You see holes like this. Pine Valley has holes like this. I've seen them all over. Some great links courses have things like this. I like it when you have the kind of what I call it the detached. Now it is a little bit of a pathway attaching the fairway, but I call this a green. I'm sorry, an entranceless green, right? There's no entrance to it, really. It's just kind of sitting up there like an island. So it's a bit of a plateau and an elevated green. Again, I don't know. I should check maybe TGC Tours website to see where this is supposed to be situated. Look at that. Got some grid lines on the green. Again, like I said, not a huge fan. But Bobhare Valley, maybe it's the Pine Valley kind of thing going on. Lots of waste areas. Good job with the cameras. Nice and smooth, and it's a little speedy, but not like super fast. Dizzying like the other ones. So yeah, you got a little bit of strategery here. You can run into that bunker. If you're going on the left, obviously you want to be probably a little bit more left here, but the fairway is going to kick you that way. And this is a 5. It's a fairly short 5, although we do have the wind behind our back. So the wind, I think I told you, is going east medium. 30 feet up the hill. Okay, so I do like the uphill par 5 occasionally. You see a lot of downhill par 5s. You got to, use the ground to run the ball in there, that kind of thing, which is fun. It's a good option for par 5, but not all the time. So I do like a par 5 where the green is elevated. It's a little bit uphill. You saw that on my Casuals Golf Club Resort, which is inspired by the Mount Washington course. The 10th hole is a big uphill 5. Get in there. There we go. Variety on the par 5s. That is what we preach here. And most experienced designers preach as well. Trying to make them going in opposite direction, or different directions, I should say. Nice downhill 3. 40 feet. So again, nice elevation changes here. We've talked about how on quick tips how a lot of newer designers, it's too flat. Their courses are just too flat and they don't have natural land movements up and down. It's too subtle or it's too extreme. But I've seen a lot of just flat courses. So 40 feet is a pretty sizable drop, but you see here it looks pretty cool, right? It's going to help with the difficulty just a little because you got to gauge the wind, the drop, and all that. Some interesting bunkers around there. Again, I like the planning. We've got a river coming through here. Some background buildings and such. So nice little environment. So far, Ivy Mike, you've picked a winner. Greens are very reasonable. Nothing crazy. So again, we prefer what we call casuals friendly. A fancy way of saying not too hard. We want fun challenges, but we don't want difficult courses. I think of maybe CC level or kinetic, right, for you TGCers out there, but not like elite or what have you. We don't want super difficult because it is casuals for a reason. Enjoy the golf, enjoy the scenery, enjoy the competition, but we don't go crazy over it. All right, so this is interesting. A little bit of a narrowing up here around the 300 mark to, again, an isolated green. Now the question is, how much do you want to have left going in there? So we'll go for it here with this wind. It should help keep us rolling along. I call these holes the kind of goad you into it holes. You're probably better off with the 3-wood and a full shot in than the little kind of awkward wedges. Here that went across a little bit, so I am going to be able to pretty much hit a full 56. Not quite full 56 in, but we got some slope. And I'm going to pull that, but actually it's going to turn out okay. Got a little path over there. I've used the surface weathering for my paths. Unless it's, the other way I use dirt. I'll use the new terrain painting. But I won't use like the cart path tool or the mulch tool like you had to do in the old days. I tend not to, let's see, what was used there? Oh, that could be the new terrain painting for that path. Excuse me, a little drink of coffee. Little shed there. It's always nice to give your course some realistic elements. Uh, Interesting. So you got a tree in the way. You could shape it around down there. The wind in our face. It is worth the risk to go up and around these trees. Yeah, good overall look and feel. Again, I'm just not a fan of the grid lines on this type of course. They're not bad. I just think it will look better, more natural without them. Again, that's personal preference. Nothing I say on this or quick tips should ever be intended to be gospel. It is my opinion based on years of designing. Lots of stuff is just personal taste and feel. Some is not, though. Some is pretty objective stuff where you might want to do this and not do this. You know, bunker sculpting, your greens, things like that. This is an interesting concept, getting these cameras nice and low. People have been using them very high. And I have, at least, kind of giving you a top-down view of the course. But going low is pretty effective. All right, so a short one. And not a whole lot of elevation change. Although 17 feet is a decent elevation change. Surrounded by bunkers. And, of course, nothing but the gunk in between you and the hole. Just a tiny little apron there. So pretty realistic. I play lots of holes like this. Green is fairly sizable for short 3, but a unique shape. So I like that because you can play around with the hole locations, which makes the green play smaller than it is back in that corner. And you got a little section over here. And a section here. Put that up into the wind. Not bad. Almost kind of got some heath-like stuff going on here. Of course, if you go with the evergreen look, it does simplify your tree planting effects, right? There are a lot of different evergreens now. The pines, the spruces, the cedars, and all that. But you get a kind of palette of those, and you just spread them out. So pay attention to your tree lines. I did a tree line video way back when, right? So you kind of want to use that tree line to basically focus your player's gaze out of the tee box or even from the fairway. So if you've seen that, this one does it a little bit, but it kind of, everything kind of should point to your target a little bit. It shouldn't be scattered and all over the place. This one's a little bit all over the place. It looks great though, but you could use it to your advantage to really kind of give you that hit it down the alley look. Did I do I might have done 2 tree line videos. Making your tree lines look natural. So I had that whole series, making your greens look natural, making your planting look natural, making your tree lines look natural. Ooh, that could be good. Look at that. Just gonna cozy up right there next to the hole. Another eagle dead center. Like it. 2 eagles on the front, -7. How about that, as Mel Allen used to say. Yeah, nice setting. So another kind of shortish 4, where you got some trouble with the driver, but you got just as much trouble with the 3-wood, so you might as well blast it. But I'm gonna put a little draw on this one. My Cyber Jack likes to play the fade, the power fade, just like the real Jack. Of course, he doesn't look very Jack-like now. He's got the, the fancy vest and the hat and the sunglasses. Wanted to spruce things up a little. In between. So this is pretty good gauge into it hole, right? The pitch isn't going to work, so you got to go back to an approach. Pull it back, right? Get a little loft. That's just such an in-between distance on this game. To be honest with you, it's not an in-between distance in real life, at least for me. 75 yards is like a 3/4 wedge. I carry a 54 and a 58. You know, kind of shoulder to shoulder thing. Pretty simple stuff. And it's kind of a difficult shot in this game, which I don't know. For me, it's not. I've said this before. My wedge play is probably my best part of my game relative to my handicap. I'm a mid-handicap, and you know, you just get me where I got a wedge in my hand, and I'm pretty handy. One is because I've been trained well, and two is because I practice it. We have a short course in the course I belong to that has holes that are like from 50 yards to 110 yards, and it's so much fun. But it is so good for your game. And I go out there and I practice sometimes. But very underestimated in terms of practice. Oh, you got some nice houses along the thing here. This is very nice. A little work. Retaining wall work. I'm going to inspect. I'm going to be a pain here. Watch this. All right, we're going to go to pitch. All right. Retaining walls are a giant pain. If anybody's done this, I have not tried them really in the new game. I don't think they've changed anything. They're cumbersome. They're hard to get flush to the actual, ground, the surface. And so you do think that's, that looks good, putting some planting there. To get them kind of nice and curved like you see at a TPC Sawgrass, it's really hard. So he's got some jagged kind of edges here. But it looks pretty good because really, I'm inspecting, so from here, it looks pretty good. And, again, I've got to go back to regular approach. So, yeah, it looks pretty decent from here. It also takes up some meter. So I put them all the way through, let's do a little choked approach here. One of my links courses, Carthwick, which I haven't ported over. I'm pretty close. But I put a burn all the way through it and put the retaining wall through the whole thing. And that actually ate up some meter. I didn't realize it by the time I finished. And that was a pain. But I just wanted that look through the whole course. So one or two here and there, not bad at all. Another 3. This one's pretty flat, just 5. Now again, so we talked about this in regards to chip shots. Chip shots, oh my god. Quick tips. Quick tips. Wrong video. So I do a podcast, a real life podcast called Your Customer, Your Success. And in that, I have 2 segments at the end. One is called Does It Hold Water? And one is called Chip Shots, because of my love of golf, but it's basically short form questions at the end, more fun, but still professional questions. And so that's a segment of my real life podcast, not my videos for golf on the GeForce 41, which is quick tips, not chip shots. Pretty funny. That was totally by accident. All right. What I was trying to say is, quick tips, you see a lot of new designers with flat, just flat, flat, flat. Everything's flat. The whole hole is flat. Well, there's only 5-yard distance between the tee box here and the green, but you can see it goes down in between, right? So it goes down and then the green goes back up. So just those natural kind of elevation changes where there's just rolling kind of terrain, it makes your course look so much better, so much more realistic. And that's what a lot of the newer designers miss, just that kind of natural ebb and flow of the land, where you could really picture a course being implemented in the natural landscape. It just looks very forced as a lot of newer designers. It's just they start flat and they don't do much, and they put a hole here and they maybe elevate the green. And you know, some of the tips I've given to a racer give is, you know, do your plot first. The better designers do that, especially the ones who design on PC. They can share plots. Like some of these guys have made plots, they don't use them, or they have used them and they just give the guy the file and here's the plot. You can just use it and make a course, which I think is really fun. I'd love for somebody to share a plot with me on a great course, and I'd make my own pick your own 18 holes out of the thing. That's a super cool way to design. But I'm a PlayStation guy, so we can't do that. All those PC guys get to have all the fun. All right, so this one kind of goes across. Angle your fairways a little. That's another neat little trick to keep it keep the variety up. It doesn't have to be a cape per se, but just give it a little bit of an angle. Angle the green, right? So this you kind of want a little right to left off the tee, and now you want a little bit of left to right. I'm gonna choke up, and I pulled it. Wanted to fade that in nicely. Did not. So the green shapes are very varied here, very nice. So this is a pretty big shelf, but so what? You can have one or two there, especially on a sizable green. You don't want to go over like 3 feet, really, unless you're doing something very unique. I would suggest keeping it well under that 2 feet, 1 to 2 feet elevation change from the green. You don't want giant red slopes. All right. Big wide open fairway here. Not a lot of strategery on this one. It's another par 5. Wide open. All right. So another kind of 240 in. The wind's in our face again, so it's fairly shortish 5. So I'd say the 5s here are fairly shortish. I got the wind in my, it's kind of cross going about 4 o'clock. And it's, even though I have it set on medium, it's not blowing very hard for medium. You know, so there's not a whole lot of strategy here, and it's a kind of short one. So a little blah on this one. I like the uphill one. Especially if you're going uphill, you could keep the par 5 a little short. I like that little cliff up there for the tee box. So again, this planting. Oh, he whiffed. Could have had eagle number 3. Oh well. Using some of those newer bushes myself right now. Yeah. Oh, nice downhill par 3, surrounded by water. Kind of a peninsula green. So one of the things, you know, lots of people don't like island greens because they're a little gimmicky, and they are because, you know, think about it. There's really, unless there's really an island. But what you might find is something like a peninsula like this. And I have one of these. It's based in real life. Taconic State Park Blue has the 5th hole is downhill 210 par 3 based on Fox Ridge, same hole par 5. I'm sorry, number 5. So this looks a little bit more realistic, right, than an island green that might look forced and gimmicky. Just make it kind of a peninsula. Put your bridges in. Plant around your bridges. Got some ruins there. Some growth. Alright. Some random grass in front. I don't know if I like that grass, kind of just a couple of tufts there, but downhill. All right, this is going to kind of go all the way down that hill a little bit. Again, this is where you could, a hole like this, you could play with that tree line a little and kind of have it like funnel, right? Just have it pointing straight down towards that focal point or that funnel down in there. There's nothing wrong with this tree line. I'm just saying it could be a little bit more angular. Don't have to overdo it. It doesn't have to be perfect. Yeah, interesting bunker shapes. You know, I have a very traditional bunker shape. Oh, look at this. The bunker's cutting into the green over here. That's unique. And it feeds off. That's all right. That's pretty cool. So, you know, just be careful with these things. So this is a very well done course. If you're a newer designer, you know, do you really want to be cutting bunkers into the greens? Well, no, not all the time, but you got to do it well. Because I always talk about that bunkers cutting into fairways, and you can't bring that back, huh? Things like that. Be careful with that if you're a newer designer. All right, through 15, -8. Looks interesting. All right, short 4, up a hill. So the driver is going to run out, but it is drivable. It's not going to be drivable with this wind and that hill there, I don't think. But let's see what happens. I'm just going to hit the side of the hill. It's going to bounce. A little backboard action. It's actually going to help. Put in a better position. All right. Simple little hole. Very nice. Scoring opportunity. And we've got another 4 wrapping around the water a little bit. Narrows template, very narrow by the driving area, which we haven't seen a lot of that, so I think you can get away with it here. If you're exceptionally long, you could probably carry that bunker and not worry about it. I've got wind in my face, and I'm going down 28 feet. I'm not going to mess with it. Just put a 3-wood in there. If you're longer than me or have those fancy schmancy golf balls, give you some extra distance. You're not going to have a problem with that. Pretty flat here. So again, these greens are pretty tame, at least from this hole location. So you can see the subtle movement is just off to the right. There's almost that orange, right? It's yellow reddish. Nothing crazy. Hit that pretty good. Is it going to be enough? It is. Not going to make it. I thought that was in halfway there. All right. The big finale here. Let's see what we got. It's par 5. Pretty scene going down the hill. Spline issue here, I think, because I don't know why the spline defaults to the 3-wood on a big par 5 like this. I'd move the spline out to here. Or maybe it's on purpose to entice you to say, well, I shouldn't hit driver here because of this. That is not enough of a deterrence, I don't think, for most anybody to not hit driver here. So there's a little bit of strategery here where you might want to say, I don't want to run into that. But it's only 528. So you just want to kind of wrap one around there. Again, with a little bit of a draw. Nothing too big here. Too challenging, I should say. That bunker's sneaking out onto the fairway. Not sure why. That puts you in a good position. Kind of kidney-shaped green with a little section in the back. Not bad. Big bunker off to the side. Very pretty with the houses over there. All right, but we're up the hill 30 feet. and we got a little wind helping us. See what this can do. It will be on for sure, but I don't think it'll be up on that shelf. All right. So 53 feet. Not even close, but another tapping bird. Awesome. So that was Bobhare Valley from MalPad. Thanks to the tip from our friend Ivy Mike, one of our helpful members of our Casuals Golf Club team. He helps me with the rangering. He's been a long-time member of Casuals Golf Club. Very helpful, great player, by the way. He's pretty damn handy on those matches out there. He plays in teams. He plays the 4-ball a lot. So that was good. That certainly is. The verdict is absolutely Casuals worthy. And I would say that certainly would be BWE, Big Weekender worthy if it had crowds. But alas, it does not have crowds, so it will not be a Big Weekender. But that is an excellent course. I'll try to sneak that in next week. Probably week 1 of season 45 of Casuals Golf Club. So that's all for today. This has been another episode of Is It Casuals Worthy? If you want your course featured on quick tips, let me know. Drop me a line in the comments. Drop me a line on the comments here. We always want the comments. Tell me what you think of the course. Any tips for the designers. You name it. Have some fun. That's all for today. Bye for now.